Welcome to the Speaker Podcast. I'm your host, Camille Essick, and on this podcast, I cover topics ranging from entrepreneurship to relationships to beauty, wellness, and empowerment. Each week, I explore topics impacting women looking to start a business, heal from past hurts, or looking to start a new chapter in life. Let's get started. Hi, everyone. This is Camille Essick, the host of the Speaker Podcast, and thank you for tuning in today. I am super excited. I have my very first guest I have on air today. Her name is Dr. Jacqueline Davis from Nashville, Tennessee. And at this point, I want Jacqueline to join in with us and just tell us a little bit about yourself, Jackie.
Well, greetings, everyone. I am excited to be here and excited to be a part of the Speaker Podcast. Thank you so much, Camille, for inviting me. I'm from Texas originally. We'll start there. And I've always had a love for helping, healing, anything having to do with the arts. And I have had an opportunity to travel all over the world, sharing my gift of song, sharing my gift of helping and healing and nutrition and herbalism over the last 10 years, and it's been really amazing. I got to Nashville because I am an alumnus of Fisk University. Any Fiskites out there represent? Whoop, whoop. But I have been here ever since I graduated there. I got my undergrad and master's in clinical psychology from there and went on to study with the Institute of Counselor Development for my continuing education and higher degrees in clinical Christian counseling. And that's where I received my other specifications in clinical Christian counseling and temperament counseling. And I have continued to broaden my horizons from there, studying energy healing, studying herbalism, studying food, advocacy, nutrition, anything that has to do with the mind, body, and the spirit. I'm there because all three parts help us be this one organism that's amazing. So I'm just here to help and I'm just here to share, and I'm just glad to be here.
Well, Dr. Davis, thank you so much again for joining me here. Shout out to Fisk University. I went to MTSU, but I've always wanted to attend the HBCU. That's on my my bucket list. So I envy you for being an HBCU grad. Again, shout out to Fisk University. Because I just wanted to wear that HBCU grad t-shirt. That is my confession.
Nice. It's a good feeling.
Yeah. So I have known Dr. Davis. Jackie, how long have I known you? Has it been over 20 years?
Been a very long time, sis.
Oh my goodness. And yes, and I will say to those listening, Jackie is very professional and so stellar in her field. And I really believe what she has is a gift, and she is an innovator in her industry. So she is definitely someone to watch for in the field of Black mental health. So with that being said, Jackie, what inspired you to pursue an education in this field?
Well, it was actually by mistake.
Really?
And I say that because I wanted to be an OBGYN.
Oh, wow.
I went into Fisk University, pre-med major. I knew what I was going to do, and until I met chemistry, and chemistry changed my mind. I had one of the top 5 professors in the nation, and her name was Dr. Princella Smart Evans. I will never forget that name because she changed my perspective of smart. Wow. I realized that I was not. Well, at that time, I felt like. But that was the first class I ever failed in my entire life.
Wow.
And I literally called my mother and said, "Pack my bags, I'm coming home. I don't know what this is."
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was like, I can't do this. And she just you know, my mother, she knows me, and she kind of laughed and was like, get your life together, like, get it together. Like, she literally just said, take a deep breath and get it together, because you know you're not going to do that.
Shout out to the moms that always, like, get us back together. Shout out to all the moms out there. Where would we be without the moms, right?
Right. She is my everything. But, okay, so after that, getting back to what I wanted to do, I love studying the human experience.
Right.
So my next thought was, okay, what about psychology?
Mm-hmm.
And I just dove in head first. I was on the dean's list ever since I changed my major.
Yes.
I love everything about psychology, neurological psychology. Oh gosh, I was in that book. You couldn't get me out of that book. But studying people and the way the mind works, because after I came out of school, I realized that there are different schools of thought when it comes to psychology. There are many, 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 many. Mm-hmm. Most people know are Freudians, you know, or there's neo-Freudians, or they're behavioralists. But the modality that spoke most to me was cognitive behavioral. Okay. Because thoughts become actions. Right. In my mind, my train of thoughts are the way you think is the way you behave. So if we can train our mind and understand the mind, you can understand the behaviors of an individual. That's the equation that makes sense to me. And cognitive behavioral therapy is the modality that I started, and then I continue to use things from. But that's where I birthed my practice out of. So that really made sense to me, and I loved it. So I've just been able to carry those lessons on to the rest of my life and help individuals along the way.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's so crazy. All the years that I've known you, I just did not know you had that experience with chemistry, because when I was at MTSU, I thought I wanted to be a nurse, and chemistry, it was a reality call, and it was like, oh, maybe this is not for me. And that's how I became a business major. So yes, we have that in kind. Chemistry, It
changed your life.
Yes,
people.
Yes.
It changed your life.
It rocked my world. So on to the next question. Why is mental health so taboo in the Black community, particularly in the Black church? Like, I've noticed a lot of times when people are dealing with mental health issues, they tend to, or just we as a body, as far as the Black community, particularly the Black church, want to dig deeper into spirituality versus dealing with that actual issue where there's depression or some form of anxiety. And not saying that God can't heal and prayer helps, but why is it that instead of just dealing with it from the standpoint of maybe you need to go see a therapist, or, you know what I'm saying, it's just always you digging deeper into religion or spirituality. Can you unpack that for me, Dr. Davis?
Yes. And let's speak to just being African American in America first. Okay. Because that's all our condition right now. Because I've read a whole lot of studies over the years. There is a journal, and according to the Health and Human Services Office of Minority Health, the African Americans are 20% more likely to experience serious mental health problems than the general population. And
what do you think is the cause of that? Like, why do you think we experience it more than the general population?
Well, because we have to think of where we are and what the general population is. Okay. We are in a systematically designed racist situation. We don't live in a society that's geared towards our benefit. So it's like social PTSD that's been going on generationally. Is that correct? Most definitely. I would agree with that. And what we see in our communities it runs rampant is major depressive disorder, attention deficit hyperactivity, disorder, ADHD, for short. Yes. Suicide, post-traumatic stress disorder. And there have been so many names and so many we have post-traumatic slave disorder. We have post-traumatic love disorder. And I mean, literally, the names and the labels just keep becoming present because people are identifying different ways to point out these spiritual situations. Wow. Like, you know that I speak to those things because every situation that manifests in a human person's body has a spiritual root, but right. I'll get back to that.
So it's like a mirror, pretty much.
But But the reason why we see these things in our communities, from the question you asked, is because African Americans are more likely to experience certain factors that increase their risk depending on the mental health condition, like their homelessness. Homelessness in our community, the percentage is higher than the general population. Exposure to violence. Exposure to violence in our communities is much higher than in the general population. And even as a country, everyone now that has a television, a phone, any social media can see that our brothers and sisters are being killed in the streets.
Yes.
With no regard and no recourse.
Yes, I saw that, you know, particularly with one of my sorors, Sandra Bland. She was a member of Stigma Gamma Rho, and that's when it really hit home for me, you know, seeing that on the media, and that still touches the community. And it also showed me that, you know, at first it was pretty much just our black men like Sean Bell, Tamara Rice, but then when it's happening to women, our women, you know, as in the community, and then it just opened up a whole nother dimension to this thing.
And we as a community have had to grieve and process these things.
Yes.
When you're talking about the church, we grieve differently than the general population. Literally, ancestrally, we do not grieve the same.
Right.
So when it comes to the church, first of all, just being human in our own skin, when you come into these situations, we all know that the church can be a judgmental place.
Yeah.
In general. So the reason why it's taboo sometimes is because of the humanness that exists in a place that it has humans in it, but the judgment that comes with quote unquote airing your laundry.
Or the self-righteousness.
Yes, self-righteousness, most definitely. And I would follow that up to say some people see mental illness as a type of judgment upon a person because of a particular behavior or something that, you know, they don't know of. But anytime something goes wrong in someone's life, they would like to point it out as that, oh, you just ain't living right. You know? So it's not always about what someone else perceives from the outside. You know, I always said, and I think it's becoming more popular now that people understand that the church is a spiritual hospital.
Right.
Everyone in there is going to be messed up. Yeah. That's what they come to get healing and restoration for. So the church is not the place for perfect people.
And what about the stigma as far as, it's a spirit, or not even factoring the fact that some of the mental illnesses out there, it's genetic. Maybe your grandmother suffered from depression or some form of anxiety, and then your mom had it and you had it, and not factoring in the genetic factor of mental illness.
That stumbles in when you have the...
Hey everyone, I know you are enjoying this great episode as we discuss mental health in the Black community with my guest, Dr. Jackie Davis. I am going to pause this episode as part 1. Be sure to tune in next week for part 2 as I continue this conversation. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at Kamikimink and shop with me online at www.kamikimink.com. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks, and you have a blessed day.